gonna be safe and sound tonight.
So today I want to talk about authority versus peers and your faith and trust between them. So this is a very sad tragedy of humanity. I think it's a leftover of our monkey brains. We get so much discussion of our reptile brains and our lizard brains, but really we're much closer to our monkey brains, and I don't think our monkey brains get nearly enough dissection. So the worship of authority has been with us for a very long time, thousands of years, and it's such an odd trait because there's this distant person who, by definition, you can't have a direct relationship with because they are not part of your social circle. And this authority gives commands and decrees and orders, and those orders spread across the population, and everyone immediately follows them with a violent conformity. And peers are the exact opposite. They are people who are in your relational sphere. You are very familiar with them. You can call them and talk to them and have long, in-depth conversations with them and really get to know them inside and out. And the peers are the people who you don't listen to. The peers are the people who you belittle and who you actively work against, because the authority, the distant person, the person you don't know, told you to hate your peers and told you to distrust and be against your peers. And they told you that your peers do not have your best interests in mind. Your peers do not have aligned agendas with you or aligned interests with you. The ruling class, the authority, is the one who tells you that going to college will help you. Getting a $600,000 mortgage will help you. Sitting in traffic, getting dressed and sitting in traffic for an hour each day, hour commute each way, will help you. And this is the path to happiness. And there's nothing more in life than paying bills and sitting in traffic, and this horrible, horrible worldview that the ruling class has constructed for all of us. But if your peer questions the worldview, if he rejects the worldview, and God forbid if he works to build his own worldview, then that is extremely dangerous. That needs to be shut down, that needs to be suppressed and destroyed by any means necessary, including a Waco-type incident, including mass murder, including civil war, including genocide. And this dichotomy between authority and between peers, this struggle, this tug of war, is such a defining aspect of human history, of human experience, of the human condition. And it goes on and on and on, and it's just as strong today as it's ever been, even though we have peer-to-peer communication through the internet, or at least the illusion of peer-to-peer communication, because the ruling class and the authority is still able to bark their orders and everyone obeys. They speak once, and they speak vaguely, and they speak directly in a way that knowingly hurts you, in a way that knowingly hurts the public, and everyone bends over and everyone does it, and everyone strong arms each other into following these orders. To this day, it's such a shocking thing to psychologically witness and to psychologically be forced to experience against your will. Especially when some asshole like Cuomo, he doesn't even have to come on TV. He just whispers lockdown, and it just like a lightning bolt through the population. Cuomo's locking down. Cuomo's locking down. We need to lock everything down. We can't go to work tomorrow. Cuomo said to lock down. And it's like such a pathetic, visceral reaction to it, a violent and scared reaction to it. Like an abused dog is really what it is. That's exactly what it is. We're all abused dogs in the greater scheme of things. And we're terrified to show our teeth a little bit and to growl because we are afraid that the owner's going to beat the shit out of us and leave us chained up in the backyard and they won't give us any food. So we do exactly what we're told, and violently so, by the authority. And our peers could be as polite, as enlightened, as approachable, as communicative, and as creative, and they can paint this beautiful picture. They can paint this this paradise over the course of 100 YouTube videos, and we won't give a fuck because they're not authority. They're not going to beat us. And we know they're not going to beat us, so we don't care what they say. we only care about our abusers' opinions. We only care about our abuser's worldview and what ideas and plans our abuser has in store for us. This guy who's trying to educate us and enlighten us and lead us to the promised land, he's a kook. He's a conspiracy theorist. He's a right-wing extremist, terrorist, Nazi, white supremacist, incel. But these war criminals over here that steal 50% of my income at gunpoint, I want to follow them. I want to see what they're thinking. And what are they thinking? They're thinking lockdowns. They're thinking mandatory vaccinations filled with mercury and other toxic chemicals. Prison time for free speech. Stealing your property, stealing your home, and charging you rent for it for the rest of the time. Charging your children exorbitant rent for it for the rest of the time. And destroying the planet as they have since World War II. They've done absolutely nothing to curtail this clusterfuck of overpopulation, inefficiency, ignorance, and environmental and resource destruction on a scale that the world has never seen before and will never see again, because honestly, in about 5 or 10 years, it's all downhill from here, ladies and gentlemen. And historically, you know, the authority has always been the media, has always been politicians. And their communication system is a pyramid, right? So you have a tiny, tiny, tiny amount of talking heads at the top of the pyramid, or even worse, someone just writing text and posting it to ABC News or NBC News. Or you tuning into, you know, the 6 o'clock news or 7 o'clock news, whatever the hell it is. And you're downloading orders. You're just passively downloading orders from the ruling class, from the authority. And these orders are oftentimes, especially the last 5 years or so, all of the orders are to not trust your peers, are to not listen to your peers, to completely disregard any ideas or opinions or thoughts that your peers may have. Your peers are dangerous. Your peers need to be disregarded or even violently attacked, or your peers don't have any human value. They need to be killed. They need to be destroyed. They need to be ratted out to the secret police, have their free speech taken away, arrested, sent to concentration camps. I mean, I've even seen on Twitter people suggesting that anyone who questions the mainstream narrative and the authoritarian worldview should not only be killed, but have their entire family sent to concentration camps. And this is blue checks on Twitter as well. And these are the people that we follow. These are the people that we listen to, and we say, oh, wow, this is, you need to respect this man. He's the expert. Won't you trust the experts? They are exploiting a 10,000 or even 100,000-year-old flaw in your psychology, a bug in your programming, quite literally programming, and they use this bug to reprogram you. It's like a backdoor in the software that your brain runs. And you need to become self-aware. You need to analyze your own software, and you need to rewrite your own code in your own brain to say, you know what? My peers have my best interest in mind. My peers have a better way forward. My peers have a more wholesome and enlightening worldview than the authority. And so I should say, you know what? I'm going to show my teeth. I'm going to stand up as the abused dog and show my teeth and growl at the authority, because I don't fucking need them. All I really need is, a warm bed to sleep in and some food in my belly, right? I don't need this massive government apparatus and all of these fake careers with this fake money and all this bullshit. I mean, have you been to the grocery store before? It's so cheap. It's so incredibly cheap. And if we build arcology, like, my God, then housing will be as cheap as food is. So then what the hell do we have to worry about? At that point, we're free. At that point, we have real liberty, real freedom. And we can, be humans and be neighbors and be a happy community again, because we've beat our programming. We finally beat the flaw in humanity, to worship authority and to follow authority off a cliff, or be driven into some crazed, violent civil war type scenario, which is also complete bullshit and something that the ruling class loves. The ruling class wants bloodshed. They want race war. They want poverty. They want the destruction of the environment. I mean, if they didn't want the destruction of the environment, they wouldn't have led us down the path that we are in. They would use their platform. They would use their throne. They would use their television news cameras to lead us in a different direction, to educate us, to even ask questions. They don't even ask questions about where we're going and why we're going that way, because they don't want you to think critically. They don't want you to ask those questions yourself. That's why they're not asking them. But they're definitely asking questions behind the scenes. And the questions they're asking behind the scenes is, how do we destroy this nation? How do we destroy these people? How do we destroy the greater society that we find ourselves in? Because they're not our peers. They're not part of our society. These are a tiny, tiny amount of people who have all of the wealth in the world and all of the power in the world. And they don't give a shit if the economy collapses. They've got fucking 10 tons of gold. They could build a fucking yacht out of how much gold they have. And they don't care if America collapses, because they can fly to their private islands wherever they want, and they're completely insulated from the destruction of America. That's why they're trying to destroy America. And the same goes for Congress. This is the same type of people. What do you think legislation is? It's just an order from authority. It's the same concept. It's the same thing. The media does it. Congress does it. Cuomo and Newsom do it. Whitmer does it. And we all just bend over backwards like the abused animals we are. And it's time to wake the fuck up and start listening to our peers. Because our peers are desperately trying to lead us out of this godforsaken hell that we're all lost in. And the real tragedy of it all is that if a peer doesn't wield abuse and doesn't wield force or threats of ostracism or threats of impoverishment or really threats of destruction of the individual, then the individual doesn't listen to him, doesn't care about what he has to say, doesn't care about his ideas, and will actually openly mock and openly attack their peer because he dares to think and therefore challenge authority by doing so. So I think I've gone on too long and might be starting to repeat myself a little bit. So I'm going to wrap it up and just encourage you guys to think about this concept and ruminate on it and meditate on it and learn to let go of the fear of authority and learn to embrace your peers and raise up your peers and respect your peers as potential leaders, especially if they are attempting to lead and they are attempting to spread the good news, spread ideas of hope, spread ideas of construction and evolution and a better tomorrow, because that's what we need more than anything right now. So that's what I try to do with our ecology and the social contract and the articles of syndication and the panarchist constitution and all my math. Spreadsheets and spreadsheets and spreadsheets galore. So anyway, I think that's it for this one. It's been more than depressing enough as it is, so I won't go on any further. Thank you and have a nice day. Have a nice day. Have a nice day.
It's over. Nobody wins.
If you want to see a new and better world come to fruition, as I do, then like, share, and subscribe. You can find an incredible amount of math, knowledge, and 3D renders by clicking on the channel name. And remember, we need you to help spread this vision across the internet for all to see and become familiar with. Let us build this new world together.